Well, good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's had a great, productive official first day of High Point Market. Welcome to Universal Furniture. My name is Neil McKenzie, Vice President of Marketing here at Universal. If it is your first time in the space, thank you for coming in. If you're coming back for Market to visit us, thank you so much. Our showroom has a lot to offer. It's 115,000 square feet. We have new product on floor 3 with Aaron Valencic. We have a new collection on floor 1. Our special orders on floor 1, which is shipping in 8 to 10 weeks. Floor 2 has some great finds for Coastal Living and Miranda Kerr, which is all in stock, which is great. And you can shop all of it. You can take advantage of the beauty bar and the designer's lounge, which is on floor 1. There's some libations for you there as well. And you can do all of that. I would just ask that afterwards, just check in at the front desk and they will be able to send you on your way. And you can get connected. There's also an opportunity to lean on these little scanners that we have that allow you to shop the showroom. You can scan. Everything's been labeled, so it just makes kind of the experience for you at the end easier. Rather than taking pictures of everything, scan it, kind of goes into a little virtual cart for you, and then when you check out, you get an email with everything you scanned. And then you can just click it and then add it to the cart, so that's super easy. So we're excited to have you here in the Learning Center. We've had a number of events this market. We have 15 in total over the course of 5 days. And this one that we've done today, I think we've had Erica and Jenna here a number of times, and they always draw a great crowd and a great conversation. So today our guests are Erica Surratt, Jenna Christensen, Christy Barber, and Don Schweitzer. I did it. All right.
Yay! Success.
So I'm sure you'll enjoy. We are also recording all the events. So if you miss anything or if you couldn't get to one, we will make these available on our website, the same place that you registered. Just give us about a week. So thank you for visiting us, and I'll let you guys take it away. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy market to join us. And also a super, again, thank you to Neil and the entire team at Universal Furniture. If you haven't had a chance to walk through the showroom, I encourage you to do that after this presentation. It's super gorgeous, always. And I really appreciate their attention to detail on how the entire client service works. So as he was saying, it's super easy to walk through, get information that you need, and then kind of check out at the end. The lead time is exciting as well. So again, I super encourage you, and I thank Neil, as we all do, for hosting us again. We value this time, and I hope that, and from your feedback, we know that it's valuable for you as well. So I'll jump straight in to say that we are here to talk about how to become a creative renegade. Jenna and I have been having many conversations over the last few years, and that's a whole nother conversation. But one of the things we've been talking about recently is we share similar clients. Our clients come to us for very similar problems in their business. And one of the things we keep hearing over and over again is, I feel like I struggle to be able to articulate exactly what it is that makes me stand out. I know what I do is very different from others, and I don't know really how to articulate that. I don't know how to share my brilliance with my clients. I don't know how to do that. And so we started to say, okay, these clients that come to us really are creative renegades. They're really pushing the boundaries of what it means to be an interior designer, to be a creative entrepreneur, to be working in this post-2020 world that we're in, and they're taking chances, they're pivoting, they're resilient, they're strong, and they're allowing their clients to come to them within an environment of trust. So we decided to start this conversation today with these two extraordinary business women who are going to be answering our questions as we go. We'll leave time at the end to answer your questions. So if you have them, save them up, and we will get to those. So I'm just going to lead with what we thought a very provocative question for this panel might be: are you a business or are you a brand? So my question is, can you tell us, each of yourselves, introduce yourselves, tell us a bit about yourself, how you are building your own business and your own brand.
first. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming. This is my first time, so be gentle. And I love your beautiful smiles, so bear with me. I get a little nervous. My name's Dawn Schweitzer, and I've been in this industry my whole adult life. I know nothing else other than creating beautiful things and working with extraordinary people that are creatives. And I'm an artist and a painter and a textile designer, and I also do accessories and things like that. I work in a lot of different mediums. And
Yes.
Oh,
Are you
my
a business or a brand?
Well, I started out as a business. And then as I grew and worked and networked and learned and traveled, I became or wanted to become a brand. And I wasn't sure how I saw that, right? So I just sort of really surrounded myself with extraordinary people that I trusted and respected. And I started building my brand. I started out with a company called Notre Monde, which is an accessory company. And we did trays and mirrors and all kinds of things. And then I really, starting the business was my first step. And then I moved into, the brand. Like, who is Notre Monde first? And then that was sold. And then I started Dawn Schweitzer Studio. And it's been so exciting because it really is an interesting question. You think you have the answers, but you never do. But you always have, or at least I don't. I'll speak for myself. But it's really, encompassing the whole environment that I create for my clients and myself. I live here. I have a studio here, and I have an event space and several showrooms that I show in and stuff. And so I really, my goal is to create a brand. And I don't know, am I answering?
Success.
Okay.
Hello. Hi, everyone. First of all, I want to say I am honored to be sitting on this stage with these three incredible, remarkably brilliant minds and renegades. So, fellow renegades, I actually asked when they called me to be on this panel, why did you pick me? I'm not sure that I'm a renegade. I'd like to learn more about this renegade stuff. And so through our conversations, I have learned, hell yes, I'm a renegade. And so we'll be sharing more of that today. But my name is Christy Barber. I am with Barber Spangle Design, a company I founded back in 1997. I took a business partner on in 2000. And since then, yes, we have been building a brand. We just didn't realize it at the time. And about 10 years into our partnership, when we went through a logo regeneration and brand exercise, that was when someone said, you have built a brand, and now you need to take it to the next level. And that was shocking, and both shocking and sweet music to my ears. And so we are actually in the process right now of updating our branding materials, but brand and branding are very different to me personally. The branding is our logo, our wording, our website, and we're going to be launching that after the first of the year, and I can't wait to share it with everyone. But the brand is the essence of so much more of who we are as the people and the impact that we're going to leave on our industry, on our family, and on our communities. And that's what is important to us. And so actually, because we are in the middle of a branding exercise, I brought notes because this was just finalized on Friday. But just to tell you a little bit about Barber Spangle Design, our design collective represents skill and experience of two competitors who turned partners, who took wildly different paths to arrive at the same epiphany. In 2000, Christy Spangle and I set out to create a new kind of workplace motivated by the belief that nurturing the individual would lead to more memorable work as a whole. For 20 years, we have fostered connections, creativity, and innovation within our own organization and our community the same way we do the spaces that we design. The resulting designs are more than what we dreamed. They are deeply meaningful, thoughtfully tailored, and elevated beyond a signature aesthetic.
Was that the best answer or what? So my name is Jenna Christensen. I am a life and leadership coach. And one of the things I love about what you just said is that distinction between branding, being that logo, the website, and what brand is, which is really understanding who you are and doing that on purpose. right? Which is one of my favorite quotes by Dolly Parton, by the way. So one of the things for me when I think about like becoming a brand and what that means, like I just called myself a life and leadership coach. Now I just changed from calling myself a business coach to a life coach, and I did that for a reason. And I did that because I've had many clients coming to me in the last 6 months who are completely stressed out, burnt out, overwhelmed, and feeling like, oh my God, I've been trying to fit my life into my work, and I want to start fitting my work into my life. So when we look at how we build our businesses, I think it's really important to take a few steps back so you have a bigger picture view and understand what's the kind of life I want to lead, what's the kind of lifestyle I want to have, and how do I create a business that supports that. So that's what I try to do with my clients, helping them find that balance and help them to create a system for trusting themselves.
I am also honored to be up here speaking always together with Jenna, but every time every market, we open these conversations up and they just get more and more interesting to me, and we get more and more feedback about how valuable they are. I am Erica Sarret. I have a brand and marketing boutique agency called Sarret Creative. I was an interior designer for about 10 years. I did exhibition design and a little bit of residential design before moving into marketing for interior designers and developers and architects. But the thread through all of my work has been storytelling. That's what I was doing as an exhibit designer. I worked for a company called Ralph Applebaum Associates, and we did museum design. And so what we were doing was telling stories about history, making those immersive and experiential, and how we were selling that back to our client became my job. How do I tell a story about the design itself? And I did that for many years until I realized, you know what? I don't want to do CAD anymore. I can't do it anymore. I've got to move into something that feels like more soul-filling and creative. So I went back to school and I did marketing, and I've done marketing now since a little over 10 years. So again, the idea for me is supporting interior designers. This is super important to me, to support interior designers with messaging and branding that's specific to our industry. I have worked or have been prompted by other types of industries to work together. And because marketing and branding is so tied to strategy, so tied to business, it's very difficult for me to provide the kind of deep insight I have into interior design and home furnishings manufacturing to anything else but interior design. So this is where I come to this panel. This is how Jenna and I met. We began working together just 2 years ago during COVID. And we continue, like I said, to have the same clients who come to us for support in development of their mission and their vision and their purpose, but also then how do you, once you have that story, how do you share that? What's the strategy for marketing that in your business? And that's where my specialty lies. So this conversation starts from that place. I'm super excited about that. I'm gonna start just one quick question I wanted to propose to you to say, before we jump any further, just quickly, what is a brand? What does that mean? We'll uncover some other insights about this, but I'm going to turn it over to Jenna and let her start our questions for the panel.
Thank you. So, as Erica mentioned, this is a conversation we've been having for quite a few months now, and one of the elements that makes a creative renegade is a person who is looking to build community. And it's something that we're here looking to do at Market, as well, and have been, I think, doing the last couple of years. So my question is going to be directed to Christy, because she has been doing an extraordinary amount to build community here in High Point. So can you talk a little bit about your efforts and what's going on here in High Point and your community?
I would love to. Anyone who knows me well knows that I love this question probably more than anything regarding our business. We see the opportunity to impact not just ourselves and our business and our families, but also community. And we've done so in a number of ways. But the most important way is through a nonprofit that I've started. And so I'll tell you a little bit about that at first. But first I want to talk about the fact that the creative renegade mindset is about creating space for other renegades to come and to thrive. And I think that's what these ladies are doing. I think that's why you guys are all here. You obviously have curiosity about that. I did too. And so my passion project is exactly that. And so in 2016, I sat around the kitchen table with my family and our kids, and we were talking about all this growth and regeneration that was happening in this community and the things that were going on. And we talked about the fact that there were a lot of people in our community who didn't even notice. They were going through their day-to-day routine and they didn't notice. And so we decided that we were going to start taking Instagram photos. That turned into an anonymous Instagram account that then turned into a blog about businesses that has then turned into a magazine that is a beautiful print magazine, and you can pick one up at the Point on Commerce Avenue. It's free publication. It's beautifully done and executed. And what it is full of stories about creative renegades and how they're doing and how they're living their passion and building their businesses. And by supporting them through our work, we are then building a following for those creative renegades to then be supported. And this has become, what I have been told through city officials, an economic catalyst for our city. And so it is having huge impact widely and vastly. So that's one bucket. But what I love about my job more than anything is I get to see the world through a rose-colored lens because I'm an interior designer, but I'm also a storyteller. So in both of my passions, through High Point Discovered and through our design company, we get to create spaces that are really important for these creative renegades and for other people in our community. So the second part is through our design, we believe in giving back to our community significantly. So we set aside money off the top line, off gross profit. We take that money and put it in the bank. And then when we have the opportunity to make an impact on a design project for a nonprofit, such as the YMCA or the Boys and Girls Club, examples like that, we will actually gift them money towards their design services so that they're not taking that out of pocket and it's not impacting our team at all. That's really important to us as well because we want to take care of our team.
So I just want to highlight something really quick because I think this is really important about brand, about what Christy just shared, and I want to see if everyone sort of caught this connection. But when she read earlier what her business was all about in that brand statement, it was really about what is the effect that our design is going to have on people? How are we giving to the experience that people are going to have? And like that's going to make them actually more productive and more creative being in this space. And she's doing the same thing with High Point by Design. So it's this through line that speaks to each other. Sorry, High Point Discovered. Excuse me. So there's this through line there, but it's all speaking back to who she is as a person. Is everybody getting that? How genuine this is and where it's coming from? That's a brand.
Can I jump into, Jenna and I chatted this morning by phone, and you said to me a quote, we talked about purpose. Do you want to share that quote? Because I think that applies here as well, very much.
Show of hands, how many people here have a problem committing or find that they have an issue with accountability? Anybody? Okay. So this quote speaks to both making a commitment and accountability. I don't know why you raised your hand. Because if you have a commitment or accountability problem, you just haven't focused in on a mission and a vision that is big enough or meaningful enough for you yet. Because once you have that, nothing can stop you.
Nothing. Yeah. So back to Creative Renegade, we talked about really kind of starting to define what that meant. And we looked at, okay, Creative Renegades, what are they? We made like a huge list of everything we thought made sense for being a Creative Renegade. And then we kind of bucketed each of those into something so we could start to define what this was. And we were thinking, okay, there's three buckets, and amongst those buckets, the buckets are huge, obviously. We could talk for a long time, but we looked at, okay, differentiation is one of them. That's about standing out, right? How do you make yourself, again, your own category, really, instead of sort of competing with anyone else? But what do you need to understand what your differentiator is? And this is all relevant to defining a brand as well. Relevant, how do you, because if you're not relevant to a particular client, right, this is your ideal client, this is your target audience, this is like who you really want to attract, your tribe, right? If you're not able to kind of articulate what that relevant vibe is, they'll not know who you are, right? They're not gonna be able to find you. So differentiation, relevance, and the last one is resilience, right? How do you understand how to keep going, right? How do you keep the course, right? What's that purpose that makes you resilient enough to pivot when something crazy like a global pandemic happens, or something crazy like, all right, you've got to, hire new people, right? There's a scale of resilient issues that can come up, but how do you, as a creative renegade, continuously lead, continuously move forward? So my question with resilience is for Dawn. We talked about not wanting to compete, but becoming your own category. So I love the idea, as we said, the idea of reinvention, and that you can, under the face of adversity, completely reinvent yourself or pivot, right, into a completely new direction. So I want to know, what does resilience look like to you? Can you tell us a story, or give us an example, or even just talk a little bit about what that means for your brand and how it shaped you?
Sure. Sorry. Yeah, so when I started my company, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I didn't even know that there was, because I would sell in the wholesale market, right? Like accessories and art and things like that. No clue. Somebody said, oh, you need to go to the Chicago Merchandise Mart, because I brought this cardboard box into the store that I liked with my silkscreen printed trays and objects. And I was like, what is that about? And so immediately I bought a ticket to Chicago to go to the Merchandise Mart and figure out what this whole thing was about. And I just found a showroom where the energy of the gentleman that owned the showroom was beautiful, and their aesthetic was amazing, and they were so welcoming to me and really helped to guide me into taking one step at a time, right? And how to build a collection, and how to sort of give myself the confidence to put myself out there and start creating a brand. And it was with Notre-Monde. That was my first company. And so I started that. They said, give me 17 pieces. And I was like, okay, I'll do 17 pieces. And I did trays and frames and boxes. I don't know if anyone's familiar here with the Notre-Monde brand, but yay, yay. And so so that was the first step, right? And for me, it was like, I have this fearlessness inside me. When I do stuff like this, I get a little nervous, so thanks for bearing with me. But when I'm moving and doing what I love and surrounding myself with people that I respect and I admire and trust, it's like this catapult into, I'm capable of doing anything I choose to. And I feel like that really is a part of resilience in whether it's the creative realm of things, or, business, or both, and how to meld, creative and business, and create. So for me, resilience was just keep pushing, keep moving, keep creating. Some things became very successful and some things didn't work, but I learned from those failures. I mean, I don't think failure is a negative thing. For me, it just teaches me something. If I'm paying attention, if I'm present to what it is that I'm doing and what I want to achieve. And the goal that I've always had, because I've done this for about 35 years, is to really just surround myself with beauty and kindness, and that could be everything from a beautiful event or party or objects, anything that you love, artwork, textiles, just creating an environment, which is what you guys do for your clients, where they walk into a space and it is unique to each person. I got off track with the resilience thing, but I'll get back on. But I feel it's really important, right? And I feel like once you start to affect people in that way, it not only gives them confidence in their own space, it gives you the same, because then you're doing something really beautiful and you're sharing it, right? So I started there, and then fast forward 20 years, I worked with a lot of different larger brands as well, like Crate and Barrel, Anthropology, not Restoration Hardware, that's not yet, but just a lot of different brands, right? That I had to sign some non-competes or some whatever. Anyway, so I also work with a great company called Our House Furniture, and so what I started to do with the accessories and stuff was, did my own thing, but then I branched out and worked with all these larger brands and building, you know, different collections and things. And then COVID hits, and we're like, yikes. Everybody was just sort of like, what's going on? But what happened was everybody started nesting, right? Everybody started, and I thought, how am I going to do this? I have all these employees. I've got these factories that I'm, and it just was, and then we had all these different issues with lead times and things like that. But being resilient, you do pivot, and you just bring in the right people. You scale it down, and then I got totally off track. I'm sorry, guys.
Well, no. I think you're doing an amazing job of talking about what resilience really is and also what brand is. Because what I heard you say is you're trusting yourself above everything else. When you
Yeah.
talked about that first showroom in Chicago,
Yeah.
it wasn't about, oh, the numbers and this, that. It was about the energy of the person.
Yeah, and it's scary, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm just going to be like super candid and come from my heart here because I'm not sure, I don't have all the right words or answers, but it is. It's like you're sort of, walking through, you have something to offer that's really beautiful. I mean, I feel like I have something to offer people that's really beautiful and lovely and different, and I want to share that with them. But I want that to also sort of integrate into their world, into whether it's your own personal space or a store or so that's sort of how I work my way through it. I mean, I wish I could gather you all up and take you to my studio right now so that it would make sense.
Could I just take a second to say, you can have this experience tomorrow?
Yeah.
In fact,
Okay,
please
yeah.
join us.
Can I invite everybody now?
Yeah,
Okay,
go for
so
it.
here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. I have a beautiful space that I've been working on through COVID, and it's a new event space, and my studio's right next door. And I love to entertain, and I love flowers, and I love food, and I love music, and I love cocktails, don't we all? And so I've put my energy and our energy as a creative renegade to share that experience with people. For me, it's hard to talk about it, but I love to share it and do it, right? I want to bring you into my world. And it's at the end of English Road, it's close by, and we're having a beautiful jazz and R&B quartet, and we're doing signature cocktails, and flowers are absolutely over the top, and you'll see some artwork. I'm giving away a couple pieces of art. My friends at Aveda have done this beautiful giveaway, and our friends at Raffaldini Wine are sponsoring all of the wine and stuff. But this is what I would love. Instead of listening to me go off point and yammer around, I would love for you to join us tomorrow evening and just enjoy the space. It's
6 p.m. What's the address, Dawn?
6 p.m. It's 2429 West English Road. And you'll see, like, it'll stop you in your, it's really beautiful. I'm really proud of it. And this is like a resilience thing, okay? This is like, you're getting me back on track now. Thanks, guys. The thing is that it's taken me 6 years, like when I sell my artwork and do my thing, then I set that aside. My thing is, just investing in the brand and in the buildings and see, and then it's a fence, then it's the landscaping, then it's this beautiful 30-foot sunken fire pit that we just finished. That it's beautiful. I mean, you don't feel like you feel like you're transported somewhere else, or at least I do. And I'm very critical of myself. I'm sure a lot of people are, but yeah, it's.
Can I jump in just to say
Please.
that what you'll see tomorrow at Dawn's Space is an immersive environment, is a walk into her brand. It's a walk into the world of Dawn Schweitzer, the artist. Many of you use art in your projects, and you may, want to know what story that is. This is going to give you the chance to do that, to really get into her mind as a creative space. She's right. It's like no place I've ever been. It's amazing. Just come.
Right, and like
Check it
as
out.
interior designers, don't you feel like every day, like I could never do what you do. I mean, I would just be overwhelmed. But every detail of what you do is important, right? I mean, and I just moved into a new home, so I'm doing the lighting and doing all this stuff. I mean, I'm not in, I wish I was that amazing, but what you do, I have so much respect for what you do and how you do it, and it's seemingly effortless. But yeah, when you come tomorrow night, you'll see the way I do it and what I feel is important, which is just sort of transporting yourself. I don't want anyone to want to be anywhere else except there in that moment. So that for me is my brand. I want you to come into my world and my head and my environment and enjoy it. And yeah.
Thank you, Dawn. So I think what's at the root of what Dawn is talking about is going to lead me into my next question, which is really all about, to me, what is the most important aspect of a creative renegade, and that is trust. And I want to just ask the audience a question. How many of you find yourself second guessing yourself, feeling like an imposter, not being able to like decide which way forward, right? So being able to trust in yourself, this woman is trusting herself. You're listening to all these things. She's taking risks. She's following her
Scary,
gut,
but
right?
it's fun at the same time.
Enormous financial investments. These are risks. And
Yeah.
takes trust.
So trust in yourself, and as for many of you, I'm sure, how many are interior designers in the room? Okay. Trust, I'm sure you'll all agree, is the most important element to a healthy client-designer relationship. Okay, so this question is going to you, Christy. Let's talk about trust. How does it show up in your business, and how do you develop it? Because it's also a really important element to a boss-employee, right?
Yes,
Relationship.
Absolutely. Okay, I now know I'm among my people. You all raised your hands, so here I am. Yes, trust is very important to us, both as a business and as employers. And trust is important with our team and with our clients. We all know that, right? Our team is about 19, 20 people. So we've got to do what we can to foster that trust. And so one of the very first things I'll share is our company has developed a value we call ownership mindset. And that ownership mindset gives people the opportunity to take action and make decisions when we are not in the room and feel empowered to move forward. And so that ownership mindset is so important to our business brand. And I have two of our team members in here today, and I see them and everybody else doing it on a daily basis. I do not have to be in a meeting. I do not have to be at a presentation. I do not have to be making hard decisions, because we are giving them the ability to do that. And that does take trust. And so how do you develop that trust? I think the phrase actions speak louder than words is probably the best and most succinct way to get it. Actions speak louder than words when you're developing trust. So 2 examples of that, one with a team. With a team, we don't micromanage. If we give someone accountability and responsibility to take ownership of a problem or a client or a project, whatever their role is, they own it. And we don't micromanage. And they see that we are modeling, we're not going to micromanage you. And so they understand that we trust them. With our clients, who here has ever had a project that has, let's see, how do I want to word this? Who here has a project that goes perfect? Every project has gone perfectly without any problems ever. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, silly. So every single project that we finish, no matter what it is, whether it's residential or commercial, hospitality, we sit down with our clients and say, where are we doing things great? And then where do we need improvement? And that takes a whole lot of humble pie to sit across the table and listen to someone who is really frustrated about a project or a delay. Try those things. We call them closeout conversations. The closeout conversations over the last 24 months have been painful. And they have been painful not because of anything we've done. They are frustrated at the process and the delays. You guys know this. You're all nodding your heads. So when we make promises to clients, we listen to what they have to say, and then I will look them in the eye and say, I appreciate what you're telling me, and we are going to put into action X, Y, or Z. And then I have to prove that to them. And so that builds trust. So the person that could have been really annoyed with us, if I hadn't sat down with them across the table and had a really hard conversation, could have gone out into our community, and y'all, High Point is a small community. They could go out into the community and really say some ugly things. But you know what? They don't, because they sit down and they recap the whole project and they realize that there are things that we have control over and there are things that we don't. And regardless if it's have or don't, we're going to make efforts to improve. And they appreciate, respect, and trust that we're going to do that. And then when they see that we do it, they are our biggest cheerleaders. They are the ones. I've got one client that comes to mind, and he was so ticked off in that closeout conversation. And by the time he left, he was all smiles. But he said, "I'll believe it when I see it." And so I have followed up with him on a number of occasions and shown him the things that we've put into play that have made that he made us aware of. So those are two things. And then the other thing that I was thinking about is, while we were talking prior to this panel, is you mentioned the question, like, what do you want other designers to know? And this goes to trust. Surround yourself with people that are willing to challenge you and provide you support. Because if you get high support and you get high challenge, you're a liberating leader. And that's what I aspire to be. I want my team to know that they have support and they have challenge, because they're going to be better for it, and so am I. And so my business partner, talking about modeling and how do you prove that, my business partner and I are not afraid to say no to each other, and we're not afraid to push each other. And we model that to our team every day. And guess what that means? Our team is not afraid to have hard conversations with each other and to tell each other no, or to debate a point, because they all understand it is all for the greater good of the company.
Amazing. And I just want to pull out a few nuggets that you shared, because I think these are really important points. That first one, the review and reflection, those closeout meetings, as you call them. I wonder how many of you have ever sort of experienced, if you've been doing this a long time especially, a feeling of deflation, not feeling really excited about what you do, or even feeling complacent. Anyone? Yeah. So review and reflection is the antidote to that feeling of stagnation, because it's the thing that's going to challenge you to continue to be better and better and better. And by the way, this is also a quality of a creative renegade. Creative renegades are always curious, they're challenging the status quo, and they're always asking the question, is this the best way forward, right? And the other thing that I think is really important is talking about that fact of micromanagement. Has anyone here ever been micromanaged? I have. How did it affect your performance? For me, I totally shut down, became disengaged, and couldn't do what I felt like was the right thing. So the fact that they're modeling this behavior, that ownership mindset, I love that term. So thank you for sharing that.
I want to jump back to trust real quick, because I think that's an essential part of the business that I do in helping businesses become brands. Brand is, as many of you said, brand is a feeling, right? Brand signals value. It's what tells us it influences our purchase decision, whether it's a product or a service. Who shall we work with? This company or this company? This designer or that designer? What product shall we buy? This product or that product? Brand informs that decision because it's based on something quite intangible. It's a feeling, right? It's a feeling that the brand has nurtured inside you through marketing and other efforts. But brand is the single biggest investment I think you can make in your business if you want to have a guidebook, a guideline, a kind of a lighthouse for how to make decisions in your business. You always go back to the brand. The brand is about your purpose. The brand is going to speak specifically to that tribe, that client, that customer that you really want to get to. And so trust for me is hard, because I have to say to people, brand isn't just an identity. It's not just a logo. It's not just what you say on Instagram. It's about building a signal of value And it requires really deep introspection. It takes time. It's not a line item on a budget. It takes months. Sometimes it takes longer. It takes generations. There's businesses or brands like Disney, Apple, of course, that have spent many, many, many years building their brand in your heart, in your mind, about who they are. And it's something that we all achieve, we all strive to achieve with our business, whether it's 2 years old or 1 year old or 10 years old or 20 years old. So brand, again, requires trust. It requires the clients who come to me to say, I'm willing to invest my own time in answering deep questions about who I am, what I stand for, what I believe in, what my brand will represent as far as the service I'm providing, the quality of the product. That's what brand is to me. So building trust with clients who come to me and say, I want a brand, build me a brand. It doesn't work like that. It's a really long game. So we have to talk about what are the process that we'll go through. And it's very similar to the process you go through with interior design. Trust is kind of everything. And I'm getting the time, so I'm gonna table this. I will say we do want to do a Q&A, so I want to kind of leave time for that, and leave time for our panelists to leave with some closing and inspiring thoughts. But I will also say tomorrow evening we are going to be available. It's a cocktail event. It's an immersive experience, but it's also a time for creative renegades to, like yourselves, to come together and talk with us. Get us one-on-one, right? Drill into what we do and ask us the questions you might not get a chance to answer, get a chance to ask today. We're also doing a workshop tomorrow, same space, from 4:30 to 5:30. And it's going to be really hands-on, one-on-one, about how do you begin to think about building a brand from where you are. And so I hope that you will join us from that. 4:30 prompt. If you can't make it for that, come at 6 for the event. And so because I'm getting the time, I'm gonna start with a Q&A, and we'll need you to speak into the mic if there are questions so that they can have them for the replay after this. Sound good? Do you want me to jump with mine? I'll do it.
You're talking a lot about brand. Where do you think the biggest place to represent your brand is? Is that in person? Is that on social media? And if so, what social media platform?
I'm going to speak to that if that's okay. So I don't think there's one right answer to this question. This goes back to who are you and what are your strengths? So, I have a couple of clients that are really great in person. That is their magic. Getting in front of people and talking to them. So that's what I advise them to do, a lot of networking. There are other people who are really good at writing, right? So it's for me, you guys you're small business owners. Resources, time is limited. Lean into what comes naturally to you. If it's writing, write. If you like doing video, do video. If you're a networker, do that. Start there. Least path of resistance.
Agreed. Other questions? Don't be shy. Okay. You got it? Okay. And another question? I'll go ahead and hand off the mic.
My question was regarding the closeout conversation that you talked about, because I thought that seemed very interesting and definitely a great way to build trust. I was curious if you've ever done that mid-project, had mid-project sit-down conversations and to see where you could improve or whatnot.
Yes. So quick answer, yes. It's always good to have open communication throughout the life of the project. So we sit down prior to even working with either a company or a client, whoever that is, residential, commercial, et cetera. And we will talk about our process and what they can expect. And then about midway through, we'll check in. And then at the end, we have a formal sit-down, close-out conversation where they give us, and this is key. So if anybody else is interested in doing this, this is where I found it to be a game changer, and someone in the room actually recommended this to me. He said, you need to get quantitative and qualitative feedback. And so we have 5 or 6 questions that are open-ended so that the clients can talk about their experience. And a key to that is the fact that when they talk about it, they realize the ebb and flow, the happy meter, so to speak, of how their job is. Because, they're like on a high when they start with you, right? And then it keeps on going because you're doing all the design work. And then you go silent because you're doing your documents and it starts to plummet. And then it starts to pick back up, right? So the happy meter gets rock and roll and roller coaster at the end. When they go on that journey through that closeout conversation, they realize how great the journey is, and then you have that opportunity. But then the second part of the closeout conversation is a scale, and then that way we actually have a grade, and that grade is shared with our team in our Monday staff meetings. Like you guys scored an X on this particular project because they're always striving for excellence, right? So.
I've got the mic over here. And actually mine piggybacks on that, if you don't mind. I was just curious, you mentioned there was one guy that was super ticked recently in your closeout, like he kind of came to, and are you open to sharing what he was so ticked about? What was the thing?
I'd love to.
I just need to know.
Is Neil in the room? I would love to see Neil right now.
Oh, no.
Oh, he's gone. He was beyond frustrated with what we are all so over and done with, which is supply chain and the issues that we have experienced. And I'm speaking to my people here now. We all know that the last person that gets blamed for anything is who? Raise your hand. Let's preach. Come on. We are the ones that they see last. I call it check writing fatigue. I know nobody writes checks anymore, but they are so over money and time and delays, and they take it out on us. And so by the time I got to the closeout conversation, do we have time for like 2-minute story?
You have 10 minutes, so we have time for
Okay.
more stories and more questions.
This is a great story. So he comes in, he's like 6'8". He's this ginormous guy, and he sits down, and he has got just this angry expression. And I said, I've been looking forward today. And he was like, have you? Because I can't wait to fill you in. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, yes, I have, and here's why. Because I know that you are angry, and you are frustrated, and you are tired of seeing us. And I get it. But what I want to know is what I can learn from this. And I know what you're about to tell me, no matter how painful it might be. I'm going to probably have some really good learning lessons. And I'm going to make a promise to you right now. I am going to listen, and I am going to change what I can to improve for the better. And so he's the one that over an hour-long conversation, he went from angry to pretty pleased, and he felt like there was hope. And then I followed up with him. I took really good notes, and someone in the room took good notes as well. And we sat down as a company and said, how are we going to solve these problems? And then I followed up with him in writing and told him what we were going to do. And then when we actually did it, I followed up with him again and said, these are the changes we've made to our processes, or this is what we've done. Now, some of it I couldn't control, right? I can't help that the furniture manufacturers' products stuck on a boat or delayed, or parts are delayed. But there were parts of the process that we could work on, and so that's the promise that we made. For example, thank you, that's a great one. So for example, our delivery company, so has anybody had labor problems lately? Okay, the delivery guys were terrible. And they were all temp labor. We had no control over that because we outsource our installs. But he was angry with me. He felt like they were our employees. And so when he learned, first of all, that they were not our employees, that we had hired a company, which we had told him this, but it just kind of went in one ear and out the other, that we had hired an install company, and that install company, we had no control over the people that they hire, nor can we handle or have any control over the labor market. And so all of that was beyond. And so he realized, he calmed down a little bit with that, but then what he also appreciated is we're looking into actually pulling installation in-house. And we're taking action on that. And if we don't do in-house, we're going to actually partner with a company where we can go in and say, this is how we want it done, and you're going to wear our shirts, and this is how you're going to behave, and you're going to have a checklist of what you do, and things you cannot and can say to the client, and booties that you put on your feet, and cardboard, like all the things that we know, right? But we're going to dictate that rather than letting the install company do it.
Sorry, just to follow up to that, but he doesn't benefit from that learning, right? Because his project isn't over.
Correct, and that's a great point. What the gentleman just said is he doesn't benefit from that. But you know what he benefits from is he benefits from being heard.
Big deal.
Exactly. Yes.
Pearl.
Would you like to come over to our team? That's a big deal.
So we have just a few minutes left. I'd like to just quickly ask the panel to recap on any takeaways that you think are essential for becoming a brand over a business. And Jenna, do you want to start?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to your original question of resilience and pivoting, because it is a subject that I know well. I have not always been a coach. I did work on the brand side for about 25 years within this industry as a salesperson, a product developer, a marketer, and then a creative director, chairperson of the West Hollywood Design District, on and on. But for most of my career, I was completely miserable. It wasn't until 2009 that I started, I think, to develop my own brand. And I didn't realize exactly that was what I was doing. And this goes back to what you were saying about the difference between business and brand. Brand is really driven by purpose, mission, vision, and your values. And it took me being in a place where I just could not be miserable anymore to start discovering what really meant something to me. And in 2009, I met a street artist in Los Angeles named Shepard Fairey. I bumped into him on the street. I had a fangirl moment. And after I met him, I thought, oh my God, this is what I've been looking for. I want to take this ephemeral piece of art and turn it into something that could last 100 years, and that's a rug. So I wound up creating a line of limited edition rugs with some of the most famous street artists in the world, and was creative director of a rug company called Woven at the time. And we did murals on the front of their building. We created immersive experiences in the showroom. It was the first time I'd been able to unleash my creative potential and was allowed to do that. I was not micromanaged, but I had a vision and a purpose that I was following. And my vision and purpose was, I want to uplift the creative experience of every designer that walks in my showroom because I know how hard their job is. And if I can create a respite for them, that just where they feel like they can just go, when they walk in our showroom, then I've done my job. So, I mean, clearly my career has pivoted. I feel like my purpose remains the same. I am still here to support, designers and creatives in reaching their fullest potential. I'm just doing it in a different way. And so for any of you here that are feeling like they're just getting dumped on, really start focusing on that vision and your mission and what is it that you really care about and what do you want to stand for. Because when I developed that rug collection, it did not happen like this. I heard no at least 1,000 times before I heard yes. But I did not care because I knew what I was working towards and it was meaningful to me. So really start to dig for that meaning.
I love
Lovely.
that. That story never
Yay,
gets old.
Jenna.
That story never gets old. I will say. Well, now I can't remember. You just said two things that I was going to point out that led to mine, and it was meaningful and caring about things. And one of the things that I really care about is our team and building a business that, like I said, is going to make an impact not just on the business and the companies and the people that we work with, but also on our community. And so I would say, Erica, the answer to that would be, or my perspective on that would be leadership development. And leadership development doesn't mean just the top tier people who are in the company. Leadership development is every person on your team. And we have worked with a variety of organizations like D4, who is actually sitting in the back of the room, that does leadership development and people communication. Communication is key, and teaching your team how to communicate with one another is a game changer. It was for us. Also executive coaching, like the beautiful woman to my right, and then working with your brand, like with Erica on the end. So developing your team and developing the skills that you need to build out your brand is really part of that creative renegade thought process. Thank you.
No, I'm kidding. So, just come to my party, people, please.
Come see for yourself.
I mean, honestly, enough already. No.
Beautiful.
But anyway, no, seriously, like in building a brand, because it's something when I sold my company, Notremond, and it turned into, I didn't even know what to call it. And they're like, well, you're Don Schweitzer, call it Don Schweitzer Studio, right? So that's which is actually relatively new, I would say, because I sold my company a couple years ago. But yeah, it's just really sort of being introspective and seeing what it is that you have to offer. Or that's the way I felt. Like, what do I have to offer you and your clients that speaks to them? You know, but it also speaks to me, and I want to share that with them. So I don't know. I just feel like moving through life with purpose and humility and love and beauty and I don't know, all that good stuff. I really feel like I don't know. I get really
That's beautiful.
sorry guys. It's
No wrong answers.
No,
you just got to
not at
come
all.
and hang out with me, and
Just
then
come
you'll
and
get
see
it.
for yourself. I'll say what I think maybe you're trying to say.
Like when we had dinner and we were like,
The idea of brand in the work that I do, we again get down to what is, you know what your brand is. It's very hard for most designers to articulate that in a way that is free from jargon. It doesn't, have a lot of extra flowery language that we love as designers, but our clients are like, I don't know what that means. So articulating what that really means in a way that's meaningful and telling a story, creating a story, whether that's on Instagram, on your website, how you introduce yourself at a party, what you put on your business card, those are the channels and the ways you distribute, the ways you communicate. But really defining that brand comes down to telling a story that speaks to our core emotions. And what I've discovered, those core emotions are, one, creating a sense of belonging, right? How does your brand draw people in, bring them together, and make them feel welcome, like they're part of something? That is, I think, the essence of your brand. That's one of the things that makes it so beautiful. You just feel like you belong there, right? It's a creative space and it's love. So you can go and see that for yourself and experience it. The next one is, how do you make a legacy, right? How do you leave something after the life you're living now, right? That can be a purpose to your brand that you need to articulate because it makes sense for your tribe, for your audience. The next one is, how do you create meaning and purpose in your own life? How does your brand help other people feel like they have a purpose? Like that your brand is essentially tied to who they are in this world. And the last one is, how do you create a sense of discovery and wonder? And I think all of our brands do that, because that discovery and wonder can be about what's happening inside of you. What are you discovering about yourself? Or what are you discovering about the world at large, right? Universal's is discover home, right? That brand allows us to make questions about like who we are at home. What's the world we're giving to our clients, right? It's super open-ended, but it's perfect in a brand, kind of a tagline. So think about which of those maybe does your brand start to speak to? Which of those core emotions do you engage with your clients and maybe your customers? What of those elements is the storytelling device you're going to use on all your channels, right? And that will guide you. It will become the lighthouse for all of your strategic decisions in your business. And so I will leave you with that last quote or last line. And say thank you again for your time today.
thank you, everybody.
See you tomorrow. Thank you.